Hello guys, and welcome to this Volks Wizard video. Now, it's always a great day when you get to drive a new Volkswagen R model for the first time, and for me that day is today, because thanks to Lee and the guys at Cheltenham Volkswagen, I've got the keys to this brand new £39,000 T-ROC R for the day to drive around here in the lovely Cotswolds. Now, you probably are aware that I'm not a massive fan of the Golf R when it comes to hot hatches, and you're probably thinking that if you stick all that power in an SUV, I'd find it even more distasteful. But I have a theory that putting all that power in a high-riding, heavier car means that when you chuck it into a corner, it won't just go round by itself, and it could take a bit of driver input to do it properly, and therefore it could be quite exciting to drive, which we'll find later. But before we go and drive on these wonderful Cotswold roads, let's have a look around the outside and the inside of the brand new T-ROC R. Okay guys, let's start off with the colour, and no prizes for guessing. This is Lapis Blue. It's probably very familiar to you because it's been on the Golf R since 2014. It used to be exclusive to the Golf R, but it's also on the Passat R-Line edition as well as the T-ROC R, but you can't blame them for spreading it around because it's a very beautiful colour. They did have a grey one at the dealership when I picked this up, and this looked so much better. Now, it's not a free colour. The only one you can get free, I think, is pure white. It's going to be about £600 extra, which takes this car up from its base price of £38,450 to around £39,000. That's roughly £2,000 more than the equivalent Golf R. But there are two things you get for free with a T-ROC R you don't get on the Golf R that I will show you now that make up for that difference, and a bit more, actually. Now, you've probably noticed we've got the Pretoria Wheels. So these are about £1,000 extra on the Golf R. They're a little bit darker, and the tyres are a little bit higher profile, 235/40/19 as opposed to 235/35/19 on the Golf. But they're very high performance tyres, Hankook Ventus S1 Evos. So yeah, it's still a pretty sporty setup. We've also got the two-piece brakes, which formed part of the performance pack on the Golf R. Now, that pack was £2,500. It included the Spielberg 19-inch wheels. Wheel upgrades, as I said, are roughly £1,000. So the brake upgrade was I attributed about £1,500 to that. So together, this package is like the performance pack on the Golf R. It's worth about £2,500, but it's free on the T-ROC R. So actually, this car is cheaper than a Golf R with a performance pack. So food for thought there. Now, side profile is pretty similar to the R-Line. I think the only difference is that we've got these token wheel arch extenders there. I'm not sure why they bother, barely anything there. And there's one on the front which is a little bit bigger. We've got silver mirrors, which has been a Golf R thing on the Mark 7 since it came out. The big difference is at the front though. So, I mean, the R-Line is a great looking car anyway. What it doesn't have though is the massive air intake. So they've kind of ditched being efficient for CO2. They've had to put air intakes there now, which create drag, but they're necessary to get all the air in for that engine, and also to cool the gearbox and for the intercooler as well. We've also got daytime running lights in the bumper, which is kind of a retrograde step, because if you remember the T-ROC R, when it came out, it had them in the bumper, and then they moved, like a lot of cars, into the headlights. Well, now we're going back to the early days of daytime running lights and having some clumsy little additions in the bumpers there, but it makes the car distinctive. Also, all this gloss black is exclusive, I think, to the R. Right, let's go around the back. So again, not an awful lot of change. It's all in the bumper. We've obviously got a badge. I imagine the spoiler could be a little bit different, but I'm not too sure. Now, here we have some fake vents and a reflector. So generally, manufacturers, if you look at cars, they fill in these gaps with either reflectors or fake vents. Well, here we've got both. So the BMW M2 has got a reflector very similar to that. The BMW 1M has got a fake vent. Well, this car's got both. I'm not sure if that's better or worse. The good news is, though, we can forgive that because we have 4 genuinely connected exhausts. Hopefully you can see those. They both go into the centre box, and they're both a bit wet as well, so they look like they're both working. So I'm sure Joe Achilles will be pleased that these are the real deal. Let's now have a look inside the T-ROC R. Okay, I should point out this car is 100% standard T-ROC R spec. There are no extras apart from the Lapis Blue paint, which we talked about earlier, so what you see is what you get. Let's start off then with the sport seats. So they're quite well bolstered, and they've got this fabric in the middle called carbon flag. Got Alcantara as well, which makes them very grippy. I'm pretty sure this is fake leather on the outer bits of the bolsters, but it's got contrast stitching which brightens it up quite nicely. Got stainless steel pedals, well, stainless steel and mud at the moment, sorry about that. These are badged sill protectors caught my eye, primarily because when I had my Golf R, I was pretty annoyed there was nothing on the sills because they did get damaged quite easily. I put some PPF on them in the end, so they're quite nice, made of metal, quite a few mil thick, so yeah, nice freebie there. Got the proper Golf R steering wheel with the controls on it. You'll be familiar with those, it just looks identical to that in the Golf R. Now, a lot of the reviews have talked about the plastics in the T-ROC R, and I can see why, because they do look pretty poor quality. Generally, you only get this low down on a car at this price point, but on the T-ROC, throughout the range, you get it high up on the dash, and it's pretty nasty. I imagine there's a lot of glare off that as well, because it's quite shiny. And that's why it's called scratchy plastic. Looking over here, it does look particularly nasty. This glove box handle looks very Skoda. No disrespect to Skoda owners, but they do save their money on the interiors. So yeah, that's a bit disappointing. And we've also lost the heated seats, which are standard on the Golf R, so you'd have to pay a couple of £100 extra for those. And on a day like today, I am missing them. But let's forget the quality and look at the tech. That's the way of the modern car, I'm afraid. And there is a lot of tech in this car, so it does kind of make up for a few negatives. So firstly, we've got the new Virtual Cockpit as standard. This gives you full screen navigation now. I've not seen this in a Golf yet. So you've got the speedometer down the bottom right there, parking selector bottom left, fuel gauge on the right, temperature gauge on the left, and when it wakes up you'll see we have navigation right the way across the display, and that's a bit like the Audi version. But unlike the Audi version, you have to pay extra to have the navigation on both screens simultaneously, so you can have one or the other, not both. But I think it probably works okay because you have the screen there, then you just have the basic dumbed down navigation instructions in the middle there. We've also got a selection of assist systems, excuse my lisp. So you're probably familiar with adaptive cruise control, which is operated with these buttons here. We've also got lane assist, which keeps you in the right lane. You can tell there's an orange display down there which tells you that it can't see any lanes because it's looking at a load of mud. We've also got a speed limiter, so you can program that so you can't drive beyond it, and we've got front assist, which is a part of the ACC radar at the front of the car. That's basically the emergency city braking, which I'm sure has saved quite a few people some injury. What else have we got? Okay, down here you're probably familiar with the mode selector, which is normally here on the Golf. Well, it's in the middle here, so you cycle through the modes like that. We haven't got DCC here, we haven't got dynamic chassis control, we've just got passive dampers. We'll talk about that later, but you can still program a few things in the individual modes, so you can get rid of the fake sound if you want, but have race, the most aggressive mode for drive, and so forth. So that's pretty cool. Unique to the T-ROC, because it's an SUV, I think it's also on the Tiguan, is this driving mode selector. So you can have, it's basically terrain selection. So in snow you can have snow mode, that's road mode, whatever you program in road mode, whether it's eco, race, whatever. Then you can have off-road mode there, and just like individual mode, when you're on the road you can change the off-road mode to suit your taste. So I don't know if off-road mode engine sound means it sounds like a tractor, I don't know. Or you can change the four-wheel drive, so that's pretty cool too. I'm sure most people will never bother fiddling with that, but there you go. We've got dual climate control, got two USBs, got Apple CarPlay. I won't bore you with that because you've probably seen that a million times. We've got electric parking brake with an auto hold function. These work seamlessly now. If you didn't like them before, try them again, because I don't think I've actually touched this yet today. It goes off when you pull off, it comes on when you open the door or take your seatbelt off, I think. So yeah, they're brilliant. They've come on a lot in the last 10 years. Front and rear parking sensors, presumably you can pay extra for a rear view camera. It's got start stop as well. So yeah, not an awful lot else to say. Folding mirrors, auto lights. Oh yeah, part of the T-ROC R spec is the black headlining, so that's pretty cool. It's also got CarNet, which is some way of, it's like it works with the app, so you can find out where your car is using the app, and you can also make the lights come on or off, so you can find it in the car park. So that's pretty cool. Anyway, enough tech chat. Let's now go and drive the T-ROC R on these Cotswold roads. I'm really excited about this because I'm hoping it will be quite an exciting car to drive. Let's go and find out. Okay guys, here we are behind the wheel of the T-ROC R, and first thing you notice is how much seat adjustment there is in this car. It's ridiculous. That's not even on the lowest setting. I'm 6 foot tall. I can basically almost look up at the top of the steering wheel, and then you can go much higher if you want to feel like you're in a Land Rover. So let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. 28 clicks of the adjuster, and you can sit with your head on the ceiling if you're 6 foot tall, which is just a bit weird, but it means that everybody can get comfortable and everybody can have the car set up how they want it to be. I want it a bit lower, obviously, but some people want that commanding driving position, and to get that you have to have a high seat, so that's pretty impressive. In many other ways it feels just like a Golf R. You've got the same touch points with the steering wheel, and the seats feel as good as identical really. They're not restrictive, but they're pretty well supportive. Road noise is pretty well suppressed. You don't get an awful lot of tyre noise, even though we're running 19s, which is no bad thing because I can't stand that myself. We're in normal mode, so we've got a bit of fakery. If we put it into race, you get quite a lot of fakery, so that's that. But if you turn it off altogether, we've got it in individual mode at a couple of clicks. So we are individual mode, that's no fakery. It's not a particularly bad sounding engine, and the fake bit sounds very similar to reality, so that's pretty good. Steering's pretty darty. One thing I was a bit suspicious of not having DCC was ride quality, and here in Gloucestershire, where the roads are probably the worst in the country, yet SUVs are quite popular, it is a bit fidgety on roads like this. Now it doesn't bang or crash, but it is probably a bit more uncomfortable than you'd want it to be, particularly if you're carrying passengers. So I'd recommend DCC. Being a heavy car and a taller car, it makes suspension work harder. They've got it set up beautifully on the Golfs with the independent rear suspension, but when you make it higher you kind of step back a bit in terms of chassis excellence, and I think DCC is needed to get the balance right. At the moment it's a little bit too firm, probably fine in Germany or at the Nürburgring on the B roads that the boss of our division said the car was set up on, but here in Gloucestershire it's a bit too firm, but it's okay. As you'd expect, the DSG is really nice to use. It's relaxing in traffic and it's pretty responsive out here on the open road, but we'll find that out in a second. Visibility is quite good. Doesn't feel like a big car, which I find quite surprising, because the Golf R does. I don't know, because you got better view out of the windscreen and you can place it better maybe. So I'm just taking us up to a little road that is one of my favourites. The only problem is you get sort of pensioners in Ford Fiestas driving up it very slowly. So I think we'll go around the corner and park up and wait for the road to clear. So it's a B4077. It goes from this place, which I think is called Toddington, where there's a steam railway, historic railway, that goes up to Broadway and Cheltenham. It's got a car park here. It's a great little road, but if you're stuck behind traffic, I mean, there's like a milk tanker and some cars. Well, we've got an M3 and we've got a Porsche Macan, but in front of that we've got a Q5. So I think I'll just pull over just here and we can wait. Okay guys, I've waited for a few minutes now. The road's pretty clear up ahead, so let's see what this T-ROC R can do on a challenging British B road. We know it's fast, it's only 0.1 of a second behind the Golf R, so it's about 4.8 to 60, which is still bloody quick for anything, let alone an SUV. 60 kilograms heavier, which is the weight of a small adult, so it's not really that different. And we've got the same 300 horsepower, or metric horsepower engine, 7-speed DSG, and we're in race mode, as you can imagine, which gives us a lot of noise. So first impression, steering's light, it's not particularly communicative, the surface is not brilliant, we've got leaves, we've got mud, we've got moisture. We're in 4th gear now, using the torque. The gearbox doesn't like to change down too early, so I'm learning to just start to using a gear more than I'd like to, so that's 5th, but there's loads of torque. Into 4th, it doesn't seem to blip or anything on down changes either, so you don't actually know if it's done it. You have to look at the display bottom left. So that's 3rd. I think in race mode throttle response is probably a little bit jerky, and you're better off playing around with individual motors, dampen that down a bit and keep the rest of it dynamic. Chassis control is brilliant. This road's not particularly badly surfaced. It's alright, and it seems to be pretty good. Okay, so just look at the display, we're into 3rd, just try not to drop to 2nd now. And then brake into 2nd for this one. Fire out of it. So yeah, no slip or anything. And again. Okay, that was good. Good for an SUV. I think a Golf R would have been a lot more impressive on that road, and a GTI TCR would have been even more impressive, but it's still alright, and we have to look at the kind of people that will be buying this car. I think being an SUV, people will buy it because it's a high spec car, not because it's a performance car. So yeah, as SUVs go, it's pretty good. I think I preferred the Q3 TFSI for some reason that I drove back in April, but yeah, it's alright. It's an intriguing proposition. Okay guys, I thought I'd wrap this video up by pulling over into this car park, which is near the village of Temple Guyton in Gloucestershire. It's only when I've been driving on the muddy roads of the Cotswolds just now that I've appreciated fully what this car can do over a Golf R. It doesn't drive as nicely as a Golf R on a British B road if you're looking for thrills, but it's not massively far behind. One big advantage of it though is that it's an SUV. It's quite happy living out in this countryside. It looks a lot better now. It's splattered with mud. And as you can see, I've driven it up this muddy bank without any qualms. If that was a Golf R, it would have probably left bits of it behind on the road. So yeah, if you live rurally, it does make a lot of sense, strangely. You might want to change the high performance tyres for some winter tyres to get you through the winter. But then, yeah, that's not a big compromise. You probably would do that on a normal car anyway. So, and also it seems to be at least as good value for money as the Golf R, maybe a tiny bit more, because if you add up the spec, it seems to be a bit cheaper, but it does a lot more for a lot more people being an SUV. So I think just that dual purpose of it makes it better value. Okay, well I hope you've enjoyed this Volkswizard video on the T-ROC R. It couldn't have been made without the guys at Cheltenham VW, so if you're looking for a good deal on a new Volkswagen, give them a call. I've bought 2 cars from there myself. If you've enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. Please do comment, please share, please subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video, hopefully very soon.